Watch this. Oh my God.
The internet strikes again. If you haven't seen pictures of people making their kitchen broom stand up on its own, maybe your phone or computer's been down, been broken. It's all over social media, but where did this come from? A viral tweet claims that according to NASA, yesterday was the only day a broom could possibly stand on its own because of the Earth's gravitational pull. Is that true, though? According to 11 Alive meteorologist Wes Peary, no. He reminds us that the Earth's tilt and gravity is always the same, and that if either of these things changed, things would weigh less, planes would float higher, and there would be an extreme change to weather and to climate. None of those things happened. So we can verify Earth's gravity did not change yesterday. You can stand your broom up any day of the week. A little bit more proof for you. NASA agrees with Wes. Of course they do. Wes knows what he's talking about. Your broom will stand up any day of the week. NASA says so.